someone asked, what can we, the American people, do to get Congress, the Senate, members of the armed forces, Vice President, and President to release all UFO, Area 51, and project information to the public and stop the secrecy that's been plaguing America all these years? Well, first of all, by supporting this project, you're doing that. Secondly, I think it's really important that, because with the social media now, that everyone post to their friends, colleagues, neighbors, whoever in their Facebook and Twitter and social media network, this information that we're sending out, and find your voice to speak about it. I'm very skeptical that the U.S. Congress or the President, even if they held a hearing, that they would be allowed to have the testimony of the truth tellers be added. They would probably be a dog and pony show. It would sort of be a staged event, like all these committees have been. Now, I think it's important that they have a hearing, but I think people need to be prepared for the fact every time they've had one, it's been hijacked by the intelligence community and turned into a dog and pony show. So the reality of it is, we, the people, are going to have to do the disclosure, and then we hope as this takes momentum, there will be support coming from different governmental circles. But I think that the question betrays a certain assumption, and that is that the Congress and the President would have access to these unacknowledged special access projects, even if they had the courage and the intent to expose them. And what I have found since from 1993 until today is that most of the time, the people who are in key positions in the government and even key positions at the Pentagon who should have access to anything this sensitive do not. And when they try to get access, they're either completely turned aside or threatened. So the question becomes, how do you have the checks and balances required in a democracy? This gets to the whole concept of an ongoing campaign, which we've been engaged with for many, many years, to have whistleblowers come forward from the intelligence community, like this Air Force fellow and the others who have come forward, people who can get us documents, material, information that's credible, and put it in front of the public. The official capacity of people in the government, what's been interesting to me is that when you meet with these guys and women, I would say that with a rare exception, they know much less about this issue than any of you listening do. And if they try to get their staff to inquire, including the President, they're basically lied to. And this is also the case at people at the Pentagon that I've met with. I've met with generals and admirals at the Pentagon, very senior positions, who were not part of this cabal and secrecy, who, when they made inquiries, were flat out told nothing's going on, or were told, yes, there's an operation here, because I would give them a document with the project code name or code number on it, and they would say, but you don't have a need to know. This happened to Admiral Tom Wilson, who is the head of intelligence for the Joint Chiefs of Staff. It happened to the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, which is nearly as big as the CIA, but is the Pentagon's intelligence entity. It happened to many, many people I've met with in the Pentagon and in the Senate and House. So I think that people need to understand that even when there are good people who have tried to get to the bottom of this, and they're lied to, and in some cases they're threatened. So this means that it has to be the citizens of the country here and also overseas, those of you listening from the UK, Australia, Russia, need to find people who will come forward as legitimate, credible whistleblowers and step forward and do this. And I think that that is pretty much the only way this is going to happen. And with the alternative media we have now, the social media, YouTube, what have you, we have the ability to reach enormous numbers of people that were not reachable in the past. And so that's something everyone can do, and it's mainly networking. It's sort of like being an ambassador for this kind of disclosure effort in your own communities and in your own sphere, because I think if you begin to talk about this issue, and I do this all the time, I'll be flying on a plane and someone will say, oh, where are you going, what are you doing? I'll just tell them. And they'll go, well, that's interesting. I knew someone, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it's all networking. So that kind of network building is something every single person on this phone call can do. So that's sort of one way of understanding this. Meanwhile, we can all hope that people who are in legitimate, or allegedly, I should say, legitimate power in the government will do the right thing at some point. But having witnessed this for 23 years, the foot dragging and the politicians, let's just say I'm not holding my breath. I think it's very important that we continue to do this as an independent activist group of people